summer, and that means that the geebungs are out in flower. And I have talked to you about these trees before because they're incredible wildlife trees. Animals and birds love the fruit. But what's really interesting about the geebung is when it flowers, there don't seem to be a lot of insects that come and visit the flowers. There's the odd honeybee, the occasional native bee, but looking at the tree in full flower, it's fairly quiet. But there is one specialised pollinator that shows up as soon as the geebungs start to flower, and that is a type of Leioproctus bee. It's called the Geebung Bee because it's a specialised pollinator of the geebung. The geebung flowers are quite deep, and in order to get the pollen out of the flowers, the bees need to be strong enough to open the flower up. The geebung bee has evolved with these flowers, and it has all the equipment needed to get the pollen out of the flower and in turn pollinate other flowers. As the females visit the flowers, she opens them up and drags the pollen out with her front legs. As she does, she moves it onto her back legs. She collects all the pollen on specialised hairs on her legs, and she has very puffy pollen pants. The males, on the other hand, are just flying around collecting nectar to feed themselves and looking for a mate, so they're quite short-lived. The female bees do all the hard work, creating nests, collecting pollen to feed their young, laying the eggs. And they're easy to identify because they are the ones that have the pollen collected on their body. They're a solitary ground-dwelling bee. The females will make nests in the soil, and they do that as a little aggregation so they have safety in numbers. The geebung bees are quite easy to identify. They're smaller and darker than a honeybee, but they're also the most prolific insect in the tree. It's really fascinating watching these bees do their thing in a geebung tree, and it's a great reason to grow these plants in your garden. Not only will they attract wildlife when they're in fruit, but they also attract these amazing specialised solitary bees to your garden. I'm Catherine Kermode. If you've enjoyed this video, hit subscribe and stay tuned for the next adventure from my wild backyard.